We're going to just keep this super informal. Just want to show you around, answer any questions you might have. And if we have time, you can ask me anything. Okay. And anything related to pain other than about medications, because that unfortunately is not my specialty. So, okay, shall we do this? All right. So, first of all, thanks for coming. I want to tell you a little bit about why I created this 16-week program. In my humble opinion, it is really an attempt to really fill in some of the gaps. There are so many people who are doing all the things that they have been told to do, doing their best, putting the time, the effort, the money, the commutes to get there, the long waits for specialists, doing all the things, and still either not getting answers or are still living in a debilitating level of pain. And so, my role is really to sort of fill in those gaps. So, what we've learned about pain in the last 20 plus years is that it's a lot more complicated than they initially thought. And just as a quick sort of high level explanation here, they're still treating chronic pain as if it's an acute issue. And so once you get past sort of 3 months, depending on what the issue was, if it came from an injury, then if it heals but there's still pain, then we're getting into chronic pain. Or if you're living with something like a fibromyalgia or EDS or CRPS, you name it. The longer you live with it, the more potentially sensitized our nervous system becomes. And so, migraines, whiplash, you name it. The list goes on and on and on. So it's really an attempt to try to help people who are stuck, doing all that they should be doing, still not getting the results, to try and move them past that point. Essentially, I really want you to be able to help yourself. So I'm going to try and teach you or whomever to learn how to help themselves. Because there are a ton of things that can be done to help dial down that pain. Okay, we may never get rid of pain completely, but in a way, as pain is an important part of our survival, we don't want to get rid of it completely because it is a protective mechanism. However, it's gone a little haywire, maybe a lot haywire. And so, I'm hoping that this 16 weeks really addresses the changes that we see to our neurobiology as a result of living with pain. And it's stuff that you wouldn't know is going on necessarily, but it's stuff that is happening to the brain, to the nervous system, how we sense pain, how much pain we sense, how long it lasts for, all that stuff. Okay? All right. So without further ado, let's invite you in and show you around. Okay. So we have, let me just hear which one shall I show you? Okay, we'll go here. Okay. So I want to be able to show you around inside the academy, actually what it looks like. So the way it's set up, we have 16 weeks of 16 modules, and within those modules, you're learning new skill sets to really help you reduce pain. That's really the big picture stuff. And then within those modules, we have different lessons. And within those modules and lessons, we have clear, actionable steps. So I want you to know exactly week in, week out, what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Okay. So there'll be checklists. There'll be some worksheets to help you work through some of the details. And then there'll also be some practice that you'll need to do. Now, oftentimes the practice really only takes minutes a day. But what the important part of all of this is the consistency. Okay. So consistency in showing up when you can, learning your lessons, and then doing the practice work. And I try to keep the practice work to a minimum, but so that we can do it consistently. Okay, and I'll explain why as we go. So there is a workbook that goes with it, and then I'll just show you some of show you around kind of in the course structure. So we again have 16 weeks. In each lesson, there are sort of a quick introductory video to kind of show you what it is that you're doing this week. So it'll give you the context first, sort of the how and the why, and then it'll give you the action steps that you need to do to implement some of these new skills that you're going to be learning. Okay, so the first week is really just kind of getting oriented to the space, the houseworking or pardon me, housekeeping stuff, like maybe a couple of forms here and there, and then checking out the community space as well. And from the ladies who have gone through this program already, that was probably one of their most favorite things was when we really get to connect with each other. And they've formed some pretty lovely bonds, actually. It was really nice to see. Okay, so we have sprinkle in some pain education. That's where often things start from. So if you've been following me either for a short time or a long time, that's always where I start from, is when you can really understand a little bit better what's going on the inside, how pain actually works, then you're able to really start changing up how we treat pain. How we can make informed decisions, how we talk to our doctor about pain. So, and again, that's one of the things one of the ladies inside the course has really mentioned to me, that she loved the fact that she can now go to her doctor and just have a bit more of a robust conversation in the short time that they have, but she feels more prepared because she now can speak about pain. Now, the challenge is not every physician is fully trained on chronic pain care. You may have seen somewhere along the line that anywhere from 0 to 12 hours is the amount of mandatory curriculum that they get. So it's not much. If they're specializing it, of course, they're going to get much more. But as it stands now, that's kind of what the ratio is. So you can see already there's a huge problem with the way we care for chronic pain. So we always start with a little bit of pain education, and then we sprinkle it through so that it's not overwhelming, just so that it makes sense. So that when you are doing, action steps that we are asking you to do, you at least have an understanding, okay, this is why I'm doing it. Okay, we are going to help you build a flare strategy if you don't have one already, so that you have one ready to go at a moment's notice. We're also going to very much through all of these modules, we'll teach you how to prevent flare-ups, because flare-ups are really one of the biggest things that are holding us back from recovery. And you likely know this all too well from living with pain, is that when you have those flare-ups, you're incapacitated for a few days. And, other than completely disrupting your life, what it's doing is reinforcing these overactive pain pathways. And so some of the work that we do is to, first of all, teach you how to prevent the flare-ups, how to reduce them when they do happen, how to manage them a little bit better, so that we're not reinforcing these overactive pain pathways. Okay, and then in the process, we are also reducing the number of flare-ups and maybe even the severity as well. Okay, we are going to address sleep, because sleep is such an integral part of the lived experience with pain. If I could see you, you might be nodding your head. I'm not sure. Most people who live with pain are also dealing with really challenging sleep patterns as well. So we do a little bit of a deeper dive into the healing sleep portion. If you have a handle on your sleep already, you are welcome to dig into the content or choose to move on and practice something else. Okay. Then we get into really addressing what it is that is making your brain and your body feel unsafe. Probably this is one of the bigger pieces we do, other than working with your neurobiology, is to really help you clearly articulate what is sending these messages, what scenarios might be sending these messages of danger to your brain and nervous system. So for example, if you have a job, part-time, full-time, and you're in a place where the boss is not very nice, and every time you go to work, it's that sense of dread. And then by the time the day is done, you just have a huge spike in your pain, and you're on the couch for the rest of the evening in a lot of pain. And so we really do the digging to understand what is it that makes you feel unsafe, and what is it on the flip side of the coin that really helps you to feel safe, protected, heard, believed, where you can feel a sense of happiness, maybe even joy if we're, on the odd days. I know that's hard when you're feeling a lot of pain, but we're trying to bring in more examples of safety and reduce the amount of danger that you feel. Okay, then we're going to show you how we're going to part of the experience with pain is that anxiety, right? Or depressive feelings. I'm not a therapist, but a lot of the work that we can do is really to help you not necessarily go back to the past, but to take you from where you are now and help you to move more flexibly through these different states, parasympathetic states or sympathetic states, like the rest and digest or the safety and connection, or on the flip side of the coin, the collapse or freeze, also known as possum. Okay. So when we live with chronic pain, we get stuck in this fight or flight mode, which is exhausting. And that's part of the reason why fatigue is such an issue for those with chronic pain. So we will teach you how to move through, to identify and to maybe move a little more flexibly through the states. Try and get you away from that fight or flight. It serves its purpose now and then, but when we get stuck in it, it really takes away from our capacity to move forward. Okay. And please interject anytime if you have any questions, okay? Because I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now, Christina. So well done. Okay, then we get into some of the really cool aspects of the human body and the brain and the nervous system. When you live with pain, beyond 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 plus years, some of my clients have been living with it for a very long time. We have some work to do on the changes that actually happen to your neurobiology. So, give you an example. It says weak here, it says left-right discrimination. You wouldn't know this, but one of the changes that we see to your neurobiology is this inability to be able to discern or decide, is this my left hand? If you see pictures, is this the left side or is this the right side? You might be able to do it on yourself, but to look at anybody else and decide if that's a left hand or a right hand, it can be really difficult. Or if you're flipping through a magazine and you're seeing pictures of hands or on models, it can be really difficult to know, okay, is that a right hand? I don't know. So it's fascinating. So that's one of the places we start from. We also do some sensory work because part of the change that we see with living with chronic pain is this real sensory overload, but also difficulty in picking up on sensations. It's almost like we're picking up on too many sensations, where sensations of touch become dangerous because they really hurt and create more pain. So we do the work to very gently, gradually expose you to safety in touch, safety in sensory stuff like sight, sound, smells, touch, all these things. Okay. And we weave this throughout. I'm going to be making just a few changes each time I go through this process. And one of them is I want to give you more practice time because some of these things take time to work through. Again, we're talking minutes per day, but you're going to start probably in the second week of this program doing some of this work. So, and it's again, some of it's really easy, some of it's kind of interesting, and some of it can actually be fun. I know that sounds crazy. You've probably never been told that, but that's part of the work that we do. Okay. Explicit motor imagery is just a fancy word for taking it to the next level, where we work with, again, the changes to your neurobiology. So, I don't know if you've ever noticed, Christina, and if you haven't, could be a good thing, or maybe you just haven't noticed. But if you ever watch someone else move in a certain way, perhaps just to give you an example, let's say if bending over creates pain for you, if you were to watch someone else do that, it might also bring on your pain. So if you haven't noticed that, that's okay. That's totally normal. But some of the work we do is we need to sort of find ways to gently, again, expose you to small doses of experiences of safety, as opposed to bending over and over and over again, where the body deems that to be unsafe. Okay. So it really becomes, I kind of use the analogy, if you've ever been to a fancy restaurant, which I really haven't done a lot of myself, someday I will, but when they deconstruct a meal and kind of make it look like this completely different thing, we do a lot of deconstructing here, where we will take a simple sensory movement or thing, sensory input, and we'll try to break it down into something smaller so that we can reintroduce it so that the body and the brain are like, oh, you know what? This actually feels okay. I'm good with this. We also do some work through the whole mindset piece, which is also a really important part because thoughts are also nerve impulses. So if we're being really hard on ourselves, we need to make sure that we are, you know, doing the corrective work so that's not going to spike your pain. Okay. We also do some really cool things with mirror therapy, and that is to help kind of trick the brain. And there is some amazing research that's coming out. And a lot of the research is really being done on fibromyalgia, chronic regional pain syndrome, phantom limb syndrome or pain, TMJ, even low back pain, migraines, whiplash, all so many things now are starting to be understood at a deeper level, and they're realizing that some of these techniques can be really, really beneficial. Now, it is not going to save everyone. And I don't mean to save, that's not a fair word. It's not going to be the right thing for everyone. But for the majority of people, we're seeing some really great results. Okay. So, and then we're going to talk about bodily relearning. We really want you to get clearer around what is it, or how does your body react to pain? How we call it bodily protection signals. We're going to get really clear on what they look like, and then we're going to use those as guideposts to help you through moving safely. So, where the difference is, if you were to go to your doctor and they said, okay, I think you need to start exercising because it is an important part of recovery. However, no one often takes the time to show you how to work through the fear, how to dismantle so that we can start really small and in a really safe way, and then build upon it slowly. Okay. We cannot expect you to get into a situation where it's, you know, head on, full on, and not have you in pain. That would just be really unfair. So there are some really clear steps we need to take to make sure that we can get you back to it safely. Okay. So this is kind of what the outline of the course looks like. We also have, just want to show you quickly the workbook. We have tons of little exercises that you can do along the way to help you build awareness around so many things, your thought patterns, your beliefs, your fears, what makes you feel safe, what doesn't make you feel safe, how to move flexibly through these states, like I was mentioning before, how to do some of these graded motor imagery things. So there is lots and lots of detail in here as well, but we only weave them in each week. So there's not a ton to do, but it will take a little bit of time to enhance the learning as well. Okay. As far as the structure of the course, so it's a little bit of self-learning. So, you know, you'll get new content each week and you can pick through the context. You can start to work on your checklist because each week you'll get a checklist, not of a ton of stuff. That's one thing I asked my ladies when we went through it the first time is, do you feel like it was too much of an effort? And they said no. And some of the tasks are pretty simple. Okay. But we do need to be doing a little bit every day. Then once a week, after you've done sort of the contextual work, you just read or view the introductory video. Then we get into the live coaching sessions where we can answer questions. We can help you tweak. You can connect with others who are also going through the same thing, just so that you can really get some clarity so that you feel like you're in the right direction. Okay, because a lot of this stuff is new. It may be stuff you haven't done before. Maybe you have. And everyone's going to be very different in what's going to help move them forward because every pain story is very unique. Okay, so as much as it's a step-by-step process, and it is, there's going to be room for tweaks and room for shifts so that you feel like it's really appropriate for your needs. Okay. what's going to be new this time around is I'm hoping to also add, or I will be adding in, not every week, because that's a big ask, but every other week, I will create an opportunity where all the participants can come together and really kind of lean in on each other, ask questions, see what's working for them, what's not, just to give each other that accountability and also that encouragement. It's also my favorite part of the whole course. Then we have a an app that is just a Voxer app. Oh, there's my kids. How lovely. Um, and it's just another touch point with me. So it is a walkie-talkie system where you can just on Thursdays touch base with me and say, "Hey, Dina, I just got through my activities. I'm all done. I feel good." Or, "Hey, I have a quick question." Okay. This will all be set up. If you do decide to come on, it'll all be laid out for you how to set it up, how to use it, when to use it, all that stuff. Okay. We do have, I want to show you this, a lovely community that we call Cwtch. And Cwtch just means in Welsh, I'm not sure if you're from Wales, but it's sort of a really safe, welcoming hug. One of our ambassadors came up with that, and I just love it. And basically, it's a chance. It's not Facebook. It's away from the noise of Facebook, and it's our own little safe space to connect with others, create conversation, ask questions, and just share your wins. Okay, so that is our little community. And then, sorry, I've got my notes here because I don't want to forget anything. The other thing that I also offer, which I think is an important part of the experience, is you're going to have questions along the way. And sometimes you just need to have me one-on-one. So we're going to offer you two free, what am I going to call them? Emergency sessions. So what I mean by emergency, that might be a scary word, but just the opportunity. If you feel like, you know what, this week, Dina, I really have a lot of questions and I really need you to sit with me so we can connect and go through this together so that I have the clarity to move forward. You're given two of those for free. Well, as part of the program. Okay. So those, again, were really helpful. It wasn't really part of the program, but I found I just kept throwing them into the program last time and it was really helpful. So this time around, it's officially part of the program. Okay. And one thing that I think I really want to just talk a little bit about is this the difference between, Curable. If you've seen the Curable app, it's a great app. I'm actually certified through them as well. They do the, oh gosh, here goes my menopausal brain. My my nouns have gone out the window. Sorry. Oh, it'll come to me. Anyway, I'm trained at that. I've also been trained in this graded motor imagery stuff. I've been studying the human body for over 30 years. So this is what I've been doing for a long time. Now, the Curable app is great in the sense that it is a lot of the mind body stuff. So it will really help you, and we'll do some of this work actually inside the program as well. If you've ever heard of somatic tracking, pain reprocessing therapy, that's what it's called. We do that as well inside the program. So we're really weaving together some of the really impactful pieces, the ones that I know from years of doing this that really have an impact beyond what our medical model is doing. So not to say that you're not going to work with your doctor or your caregiver. This is not to replace. This is really just to kind of complement, if anything. Okay. The Mayo Clinic, great class, great session, but it's expensive and there are often long wait lists. The one thing that's fantastic about the Mayo Clinic is you're really immersed. You're in it with the people who are surrounded with face to face, but not everyone can afford that to go away for a week or two to live away from home. So what I'm trying to do is make this and it is an online experience where we can do the work from home. Okay, so it puts a little bit of the ownership on you to be able to do some of the work day in, day out, with some guidance, with some support, and that really significantly brings down the cost. Okay, and there are other people doing similar things. I know one lady who's doing very much the same as I am. She's fantastic. Her name is Dr. Alyssa Wolf. I really love what she's doing, but her course is almost $1,300. So for now, This time around, because it's the second time we're doing this, and I will continue to make changes to it, um, it's a lot less. So right now we're going for 397 US. So depending on where you live, I'm going to see if I can maybe give the option of paying in Canadian funds. I don't have it set up for that yet, but we can negotiate. But I'm keeping it lower price for now because, again, this is the second time through. I just want to make sure that we are ironing out the wrinkles and making this thing really jive seamlessly. So I am making some tweaks from the last time we ran it, but the feedback is really good and we're coming through this. So, okay. The other thing I want to make sure is just to give you an idea of kind of what is expected of you as a participant while you come into this. So we know that when pain is really up there, right? It's really hard to be motivated to do anything. It's really hard to, make decisions, be creative, focus on something other than the pain. But because of the way pain works, I'm going to really encourage you to, even on the tough days, just to do a little bit, okay? And that little bit that you're doing is going to really help to rewire those pain pathways, okay? So every little bit that you do, every little microdose of exposure to something different than what we've experienced with the pain, the better. And we'll do it in a really safe manner, okay? So you will be expected to do a little something every day. But honestly, it's not a whole lot of work. Some of it, especially when we get into the sensory work, is really just touching your skin with soft things like Q-tips or paintbrushes, just for minutes a day. That's it. Some of the work we do also is an app that we is an option to buy, but it is one of the best tools. I think it's $9. Is practicing doing some of your left-right discrimination. So it can be fun. We can make games out of it. It doesn't always have to be, the tough stuff. The doors officially open. It's coming soon, but Monday, February 24th, and we'll run the 16 weeks all the way to June 13th. And then we'll wrap it up. So it's my mission to help you really feel like you are fully capable. By the time you come out of the 16 weeks, you may not be where you want to be yet. And I'm going to be completely honest. Sometimes, depending on how long you've lived with pain, sometimes it takes longer than 16 weeks. But what you will have is all the tools that you need. You'll have had lots of practice so that you know exactly what you need to do moving forward. Okay? We do have some ladies who were in our first cohort and they're still working through some of the process. And that's only because they've lived with pain for 20 plus years. And so by nature, it's going to take time. But the good news is you'll know exactly what you need to do. Okay. And then beyond that, you know what, if you are done your 16 weeks, and this is really important, if you've done the 16 weeks and you can show that you've done the work and it has not changed your pain at all, I will give you your money back in full. Okay. We just need to really make sure that I can see that you really have done the work. So as little risk as possible. The only thing you are losing is time. Okay. You are still going to gain some great skills along the way. All right. So that's at the end of the process. If you get through the 16 weeks and you're like, you know what? I am still in exactly the same place as I was before, I will give you your money back because I do not want this to be a risk for you. There should be more of this out in the chronic pain care world because unfortunately you are forced to try all these different things that sometimes work and sometimes don't. And there's no return policy on some of these things. Okay. So, I also want you to feel like you are fully supported, that you are being walked through this process with people who are in the same position as you, but also with someone like myself who can help talk you through it. Okay. Some of the questions I had from our ladies in the last cohort were amazing questions and really doing the deep dive. And so sometimes you just need someone with you to help you get through those questions, to help find those answers that are going to work best for you. Okay. So that's it. We are getting started soon. Again, Monday, February 24th is the first day. I'm not sure if you're still getting my emails, but I will be sending along more information. Most of it you've heard already. So if you choose to ignore the emails, that's totally fine. But are there any questions that you can think of, Christina, that you might have about the program now that I've talked your ear off completely? And if there are, you're welcome to type them in the chat box, or um, I'm going to just click on the ask to unmute. So it might pop up on your screen, might help you get through it. If you don't want to unmute, that's okay. Um, Completely up to you. Okay. I'm just going to wait a moment or two and see if that works for you. Or you can just type it in the chat box. Awesome. Okay. Okay. And I'm sorry, if you're not as comfortable with Zoom, on the bottom of your screen, and I'm not sure if you're on a phone or a laptop or anyway, it should be somewhere on your screen. If you touch the screen, there should be a menu where it should say chat, and that's where you can sort of type in your message if you have one. Awesome. We got through that pretty quickly, which is great. Or if you have any questions about pain in general, I've got time. So consider this like a quick check-in phone call. Okay, no worries. The other option too, Christina, is if you feel like you do have some questions, um, you are welcome to email me. Any of the emails I send, if you reply, just hit reply. You can always email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. But I'm not seeing any questions. That might just be maybe we answered them for you. Who knows? Okay. So if that's it, you are free to go. Good work. And thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate it. You never know how many people are going to come out to these things. And just one is fine. It's always nice to have company. Alrighty. Thank you so much for coming. And again, just email me, please, if you have any questions, because I don't want you feeling like you're hanging high and dry. I really think that this is a great time to join because I know that financial restrictions are really what's holding back so many people. And I understand that completely because you've probably invested so much time and effort in things that are just not getting you there. And so I know I'm putting a lot of faith in, believing that something else might work. I get that that's a big leap of faith. But we're seeing some great results with this research that's coming out. A lot of good old anecdotal stories coming out too of people who have gone through a process like this and are seeing some real shifts. So there is hope. I think if anything that you've gained from this today is hopefully there's a sense of hope. Okay. And not the dangerous kind of hope, that hope where you're like, I've had this before and it failed me. I'm really hoping that this time this is a good, safe sense of hope that there is things we can do. Okay. Christina, one thing before you go, I'm so sorry. If you have not completed, there's this quiz that I've been you may have done that to come into my world. If you haven't, please feel free to email me and I can always send you a link because it's called the Central Sensitization Inventory. And it was created by researchers to help physicians kind of not diagnose, but just identify if there is this central sensitization syndrome that is creating all of these symptoms like pain, inflammation, digestive issues, fatigue, insomnia, pain, the list goes on and on and on. If you haven't done that yet, then that might be something to start with just to see, okay, yeah, I think I might have this thing called central sensitization. And if you do, then this is the work that we can do to help. Okay. And it's often the overlooked piece. It's often why I'm a last resort because everyone tries everything else first, which is understandable. But this can work in tandem with other things that you're doing too. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.